We are live.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are.
Are you sure? Because that's a pretty dead response there.
Well, we're live right now.
Yeah.
But when everyone hears us, we won't be live.
Well, I just wanted you to know the mic was live. So.
It'll live from a previous recording. I don't know.
I just thought you would stop scraping your nails into the mic is what I thought.
Scraping my nails?
Yeah. Filing your nails, whatever.
I'm not doing it into the mic. This would be doing it into the mic. See? Hear the difference?
All right, moving on.
You started it.
Whatever.
Welcome to the Vicis Interimo 30 Minutes to Kill podcast.
You are listening to the Vicis Interimo show, 30 Minutes to Kill. More or less. The incredible podcast with the unpronounceable name. Portions of this podcast are made possible through the patronage of great people like At Lonely Bob, Big Alby, and Goldafish. Since we are trying to grow our podcast in every way possible, even if you can't be a patron, you can still help us grow by liking, commenting, and subscribing to the podcast.
You are listening to the Vicis Interimo show, 30 Minutes to Kill, More or Less. We are a horror movie review podcast featuring horror, suspense, and psychological thrillers. This is episode 379. Does that sound right?
Are you sure about that?
I don't know. I said it with a question in my voice, didn't I?
Yes, you did. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I'm bad about that.
Well, they're going by so fast.
Well, it is, and it's actually not 9, it's 371. That's why it didn't sound right.
Wow.
I'm in the future already.
So give it 8 more weeks, and then maybe you'll be on target.
That's right. At any rate, you can find us on Stitcher's, iTunes, Podomatic, just about anywhere. Just type in VICISINTERIMO. I'll spell that one more time a little bit slower. VICISINTERIMO. Why am I doing that? So that new listeners can find us and find more than just this one episode. You can go on to YouTube or just go into your favorite search engine, put that in, and you can get access to all of the 300 plus shows that we've done.
We're on iTunes.
We're on iTunes. Well, I said that. iTunes,
Yes.
Blueberry, and a few others.
Podpickle,
and so on.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I am Michael Mad Saxon Jones here with my lovely wife and co-host Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
Our show generally consists of 4 segments. Lay to Rest, where we tie up loose ends from previous shows. A short review of our featured movie, Scary or Die.
Yes.
It's an anthology. We'll talk all about that later. Garbage In, Garbage Out, where we tie up or talk about anything that we have seen, any movies, TV shows, books, anything we may have caught or done in the last week or so. And we'll end with a crawling chaos or a topic or fact we have never talked about on the show before. Sometimes silly, sometimes serious, most always chaotic. And we're going to touch on something that we mentioned earlier because we told we were going to talk about it as a crawling chaos. All right, so let's get right into it then. Listen for the gunshot. So for Laid to Rest, of course, last show that we did was Brightburn, which was a on-the-road episode of sorts. And that was really it, because really, again, all you've been doing is playing Skyrim. So we didn't have a whole lot of other things
That's not all we do, or all I do.
That is not all you do.
So you don't have anything for Laid to Rest because all I do is play Skyrim.
Well, yeah, because we didn't talk about much for that.
We watched
episode.
American Gods.
which that comes later. That's in Garbage In, Garbage Out. We're tying up things previous to this.
Okay, well, I'm tying up you saying last week and the week before and the week before that all I do is watch Skyrim. I'm just defending myself.
Yeah, I see.
Sheesh.
Anyhow,
I started reading a new book, too.
Oh, you did?
So
okay, good. Well, there's something else to talk about.
Sheesh.
Yeah. But anyhow.
So what did we do our last show? Aside from
Brightburn. And I talked about the 48 Laws of Power. That was the new thing that I had delved into. And that was pretty much it, because you monopolize the TV.
So
I can't get in there to do anything. I'm like banished from the living room. What was that finger?
What are you talking about? Let's move on.
All right, fine. Let's get right into Scary or Die then. So Scary or Die, obviously there was a time where you put several anthologies on our Netflix queue, and we got around to actually finally seeing them.
Right.
So this is Scary or Die from 2012. So, generally, well, what are your feelings about anthologies, generally speaking?
Well, you know, and longtime listeners know, they're not my favorite.
Right. But we specifically
We've seen a couple of really good ones.
We were going to start giving a few a chance, just in case.
Well, I'll always give them a chance, because, I mean, there have been a couple, like I said, that I actually enjoyed.
Sure. Like Trick or Treat, and that's the first one that springs to my mind.
That to me is not an anthology.
No, really?
No, to me an anthology is totally separate stories that don't overlap that drastically. Like the one we watched where different writers and directors did each one, and each one was completely different.
Like Double X?
The holiday ones.
Oh, the holiday one. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, the other thing I'm thinking about, too, though, then, what about Creepshow? Creepshow's an anthology, right?
Yeah.
Though they were all...
Yeah, that will always and forever be the best anthology. It was...
Okay.
Yeah, for me. Okay. I mean, because if that was the only one I ever saw, you know, and someone said we're going to sit down and watch a bunch of anthologies, I'd be like, yes. But but I've seen way more that I did not enjoy.
Didn't care for. Well, okay, yes. So let's talk about this one that we did see, 2012.
Yeah.
And do you want to start with... How do you... Well, let's just go by it, break it down.
And I didn't know this was an anthology. It's totally...
the synopsis?
The synopsis, what I read, this is not what I read. It just talked about one of the stories and made it sound like a killer clown movie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well...
Yes.
One more word on anthologies, in that generally they build to a climax of quality, I would say. Usually when you sit down to watch an anthology, short of like Trick or Treat or...
Of quality.
Yes.
And you're saying Trick or Treat again.
Yes, because I'm saying Trick or Treat. I'm saying...
Because that is still, again, that is totally different than an anthology because that was one town, one big story showing us what everybody's doing around town and how they overlap. It was one story.
Okay.
This, along with Creepshow and all the plethora of horrible, horrible anthologies we've watched through the years, all separate stories. I mean, there's one little
There's always
thin...
a wraparound.
There might be a thin little thing that ties them all together, because even Creepshow has that, of course.
Yes.
We've got our lovely little boy looking at his comic book.
Right.
But, okay... Generally,
so then I will,
climax of quality.
Generally speaking, yes, because that's what I think of when I think of a anthology movie. I guess this comes from going to independent film festivals and things like that.
Okay.
Where you generally speaking set through movies and they are uneven quality.
Uneven quality. Yes.
And so...
So are you saying they save the best for last?
In theory, that's what I'm saying. That's not always true, though.
No.
So some stories will resonate more than others. And
so are you telling me that in Scary or Die that the first one was your least favorite?
I guess what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. You
Even though we love Bill Oberst Jr.
We love Bill Oberst Jr., yeah.
And that is, you know what, that is why I put it on the...
That was why he
I'm sure
made the
that's
anthology
why
cut then? Or as far as... Again,
well,
you didn't...
I didn't know it was an anthology, though. But it had Bill Oberst Jr. in it, and I probably still would have watched it.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what he's doing out there.
Great guy, plays terrible, terrible people.
He plays terrible people. He is a lovely, wonderful, spiritual person who loves his mama in real life. Yeah.
So what was the first one? The first one was...
The first one was called The Crossing.
The Crossing, yeah.
Yeah. That was just bad taste, bad humor, just bad.
I think I
hate dumb hillbilly movies. I hate, like, a lot of stuff that was going on in that. And it just didn't really...
The redneck, I don't want to say racial profiling, but it's stereotypical.
Oh, it was... it was...
So...
And then, I mean, those movies, you're always supposed to think, oh, these people are so awful and so ignorant and stupid and hateful, and they're going to get what's coming to them, which, yeah, okay, fine, that's always what happens. But it just, it's got nothing for me.
That's what I was going to say. That felt like a missed opportunity to me.
Yeah.
There were good acting, good scenes.
Oh, well, I'm just thinking of Bill.
But
yeah,
there were some uneven performances.
Man, he's awful in that. He does awful so great.
But my point was, it could have been written so much better. They could have had a point to it. They could have had...
But I mean, and it was supposed to be funny, I guess. Well, but like, it wasn't funny. It's just bad timing right now.
Well,
where we live and the things that are happening around this, like today's political climate and...
So that's one of the reasons why I brought up this in 2012, because again, it has to do with some rednecks, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and where were they? Were they supposed to be in Arizona or somewhere?
I think so.
Where were they supposed to be?
It's said at some point. I think it was Arizona.
I don't know.
Anyhow,
it was filmed right down here somewhere, probably in our local desert.
It probably was.
Yeah, because all these people live right here in town.
But at any rate. And it had to do with border crossings and
it was
people's feelings towards that, or just specifically, these group of individuals.
Well, and I feel like, oh man, I hate to go into politics, but I feel like people who do not live around border towns or in we're in Southern California. We're 2 hours from Mexico. Mm-hmm. People who don't live close to the issue, I think how they see things happening is like what this movie was.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
sure, it's kind of like a generalized stereotype.
I have friends that live in the Midwest, the far north Midwest, almost Canada, and they think that everyone down here are awful people because
we don't want to help people that are.
It's a black and white issue, and like everybody hates I don't know.
Way more complicated than that.
Yeah, so maybe I'm a little sensitive to it because this is like a daily thing we're hearing on the news and dealing with around our own town.
Right.
But this was just an overblown, like, comical, bad taste, simplification. Right. Yeah.
So
I didn't enjoy it.
Okay, so it was just a missed opportunity. So
yes. I love Bill Oberst Jr. He gets 5 stars.
We got that.
Yeah.
But
even though he was totally disgusting in this, a disgusting person, and just
I would have, and it's hard for us to I hate to tear down anybody else. We've said this before. It's something somebody else does. Like somebody got their movie made. Oh my gosh, I got my movie made. It's going to be part of this short. It's going to be in an anthology. Yay!
Right?
Isn't that nice? Whatever. But it just, like I said, it was so much of a missed opportunity because they could have either, if they had, I don't want to say a political agenda, but they could have played both sides of the issues. They could have talked about tradition. They could have talked about...
Yeah. But that's why I said it was just like comical and light and... I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Because then I would like to take this then, The Crossing...
Right.
if you want to go the political route or make a social commentary, make that a big movie then.
Right.
I don't know how you would tackle it because it's such a hot topic.
Such a
it's
complex issue that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
We should probably move on.
My notes here was it was filmed super tight and uncomfortable. And I think you were supposed to feel that, too, the way it was shot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it takes place in the front
the heat
cab of
and
the truck.
The smell and the disgusting...
Smell,
yes?
All of that came through. Yeah, I think so. But it needed a tighter script. That was my general notes on this one. It was shot tight and uncomfortable, but it needed a tighter script.
The whole thing was uncomfortable. I don't know.
Oh, right.
I don't know.
So, what was the next one then?
And that being said, I'm sure there's people just like those in reality.
Oh, absolutely, but
none of them live around here. Oh no, I think you need to head away from the coast, maybe to find them. But
yes, indeed.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I mean, it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
Man.
The next one.
Yeah. Did you like the next one? I'm not going to be able to pronounce the man's name right, but it might be Taichung.
Okay.
Taichung's Lament.
Yes. Wasn't it also? Didn't it appear though as the
no
the path? No.
No, because okay. Let's go back. You didn't read a synopsis or anything, but it maybe doesn't matter because it's going to say this is a scary clown movie. But the movie starts out where somebody is online and they're searching.
Scary topics.
Scary topics
on YouTube, roughly.
Well, it's not YouTube. I got the feeling it was a horror website where maybe you could check out like real.
Rotten.com, where you would go to see awful pictures or awful things and stuff.
I guess. Yeah, it was something like that. Well, Live Scary or Die, right?
Sure.
Wasn't that the website they were on? But yeah, I noticed that in between each movie, it would show the person just their hand on the mouse, and it would show the screen. And it said the path a few times on a couple of the different breaks. So that was that. You did see that, and I did see that, and we did think that was the name of one of these, but it actually wasn't.
Okay.
But yes, you did see what you thought you did. I saw it too.
All right.
Because I wrote down the path, and then I scribbled it out and put a question mark by it.
The Lament. Okay.
But then when the title came up, it was Taichung's Lament.
Okay, so I like that better. It was fun-ish to watch. And so the comparison between the first two, the first thing that I thought about...
Totally different.
What I thought about the crossing was it needed better writing, it needed more words, it needed more description in there.
Yeah.
But that was my just general. But then I immediately watched the Lament, and there's virtually no talking. It's very simple. And it's like, I'm completely engrossed in what's happening.
Yes.
You and I even talked a little bit during it because it was one of those fun play-along kind of scenarios.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what exactly
what's happening here and what's there. And while they worked very hard, well, I won't say they worked hard but it almost seemed like it was Tokyo at first because of everybody that appeared and the way they showed it, but then they clearly showed the LA skyline.
Yeah.
So it was interesting just the way that it was done without a lot of speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of good things going on.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the story, I guess.
Well, the story wasn't as...
there was a giant red herring in there, and I didn't like that at all.
Right.
Because it wasn't even done in a slick way or in a... I mean, it was like obvious and in your face.
Yeah.
It was like, here's what's... there's something here. This is what's going on. I don't want to give anything away.
Right.
But then later, like, you don't see that anymore.
Right.
So it was like, why did they put anything in there related to this thing I'm talking about?
We're bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, this is terrible. I hate anthologies. Dang it.
Do I need to give a synopsis? Would it help if I gave a synopsis?
Of what?
The movie. Well, I'm going to read the synopsis as written on IMDb.
Okay. We should have done that first.
So, the creation of Michael Emanuel, Scary or Die, tells 5 interwoven horror stories that take place in and around the City of Angels. A flesh-eating clown.
We would have known that.
Well, this is completely different than what we read on the Netflix jacket. A flesh-eating clown desperately tries to protect the person he craves the most, A dirty cop and hit gone wrong with a vengeful necromancer, a beautiful but mysterious woman, and a lonely man looking for love in all the wrong places, a gruesome blood-splattered uprising of illegal Mexican zombies, and a Cajun conjurer grandfather whose gift of never-ending love goes terribly awry. Scary or Die is a unique experience in horror filmmaking, certain to fulfill your twisted horror film experience needs.
Okay.
I'm betting this is written by his friend.
I don't have twisted horror experience needs, so maybe that's... I really don't. So maybe that's where it went wrong for me.
That's where it went wrong. Okay.
Okay,
So-
that was a good synopsis. And that sounds like a totally different movie than what I thought we were sitting down to watch.
Okay.
But that is absolutely the movie we watched.
Okay. To a more or less degree, yes. I guess the disappointing thing with the Lament was the fact that it didn't surprise us.
No, because I even was like, oh, is that such and such? And oh, look, it was.
Yeah, so.
Dang it. Well, and it was supposed to have a twist.
Yeah.
Because it gave you that red herring, and it was like, oh, okay, I see what's going to happen here.
Right.
You're thinking, do we worry about spoilers too much? I'll just say you're worried about some kind of vengeful spirit, or this had a very Asian flair, so
Right.
it had that ghostly,
Yeah.
like I thought I knew where we were going,
J-horror,
but
yeah.
it was like, just kidding,
Yeah.
we're doing this instead, but we called it. We
Okay.
knew that's where it was going.
Okay.
But in this story, we have a man who's lost his wife. Do you remember how long she was?
It was like a year. It wasn't
It sounded like
terribly
it was
long.
a while. Well, it wasn't just this last, week or month or whatever. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But he has his little shrine to her in his house where he
Right.
brings a fresh flower every day. And he's really missing her, and he's lonely, and you see him out on the streets, ogling young girls and stuff.
Yes.
But he always goes home and brings his wife that fresh rose, and so that was where it started. And yeah, it was much more engrossing than The Crossing. I couldn't wait for it to just get off my television. But this one at least had my interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about the third one called Remembered?
That. Here's my notes as written. Blah, 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 but then takes a turn. So,
Okay.
blah,
blah, blah.
You're going along.
Yada, yada,
watching
yada,
this.
yada over the best part.
Well, nope, I didn't. But yes, in this
No,
case,
I mentioned the lobster bisque.
with this, it
Simon.
was this was more engrossing and more entertaining, I think. And so it had the feel of not even necessarily a Twilight Zone episode, more of a Tales from the Dark Side.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where it would be maybe a 15-minute, maybe you get two 15-minute
It felt
things.
very short.
It did feel short.
It felt shorter
it
than
kind
the
of
other
got
ones.
right to the punchline, kind of.
It did. It was short and sweet.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. I thought it was kind of fun.
Okay, we kind of saw where that was going too, though.
We kind of did, but that was a fun ride to get there.
Yeah.
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 Okay, well, the fourth one was called Clowned.
Oh, man.
I wrote, tried to be funny, just bad, sad music, etc. Just dumb, ?
Well-
it's not sad, it's ridiculous. That was
So
what I wrote.
This was, I felt like, one of the most disjointed ones. Because while... So,
It was terrible.
Was it terrible?
Man,
you
this
look
whole
so
thing
sad
was
as you were
terrible.
saying that.
This whole mess was terrible.
I say watch the movie Clown. If you're going to watch, because it tried to
Clown, just clown.
be right. If you're going to,
That's
the story that it was
excellent.
trying to do
Yes.
was, and we talked about Clown on a much earlier episode.
Yeah, that is an excellent movie. I was not expecting anything much for
Right.
that. And I mean, it had everything.
Yeah, and
It
this
had
one
heart, and you cared.
Was
I don't care about these people. This one had some bad acting in it too. The clown,
right, and it was. This
bad
is again one of those that was uneven,
It
and
felt
this is the thing that they're
unfinished.
using to sell it.
It was just I'm sorry, whoever wrote this. I'm sorry. I hope you're not listening. But it really had the student film thing. Like, there were mistakes going on that I wish somebody would have fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know. Darn it. I love clowns.
Right, and this
Both
was
scary
one,
and not.
This is the one that I actually had too much writing, and it was overworked.
Yeah.
It felt, and this is what I mean about feeling uneven and
Yeah.
stuff. Some of the writing was good, some of the writing was, not on this one, but over this whole movie.
Right.
Some of the writing was good, some of the writing was bad. Some of the writing needed to be there and was completely overworked, and some of it, so it's a variety.
Well, this is another one that could be redone into a full movie.
Well, and I think it was. I think Clown was the movie they would wanted to or tried to make.
Yeah, well, but in the synopsis, you said, a clown is trying to not hurt
what he craves, right?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. The person he cares about, that he's having impulses to, he's trying to protect, whatever. Like, you could go somewhere with that.
Yeah.
This was just too quick and loose and fast, and it was just, I did not enjoy it at all. And I'm sorry, the makeup was terrible. I didn't, it was just too clowns from outer space or something. I don't know.
I get to this point where I actually was all completely out of sync. This is the part where I was going to talk about whatever happened to kids on milk cartons.
Okay.
Because I had thought we'd mentioned that earlier, but since we talked about it last week, but we didn't record last week, this will be our crawling chaos.
We'd kind of talked about it a couple times in the last, even in the last 6 months, because we've watched
way
things
back in,
that were...
what is it, summer of '84.
I was going to say, we've watched a lot of retro, nostalgic 1980s stuff, and when we were growing up and kids came up missing, they were always on a milk carton.
Right.
But we'll talk about that later,
right? We'll talk about that in a moment, yeah.
Okay, well, the last one, in number 5, was called Lover Come Back.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Another one that felt uninspired.
Okay.
I appreciate what they were trying to do.
I loved the idea.
The idea, sure. But just poorly executed.
Maybe.
And again, I feel bad talking about, like, what's the movie that I've done, right? So it's like, maybe we shouldn't be talking. These are our feelings and our gut reactions and stuff. So
these were all great stories. These were all great ideas.
Potential, for sure.
Heck yeah, all of these on paper, I'm sure were awesome.
Right.
But it just
didn't come together.
And the people that they failed. The execution. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love Bill Oberst Jr. though.
We got that.
And I like clowns.
We got that.
And I like
some other people were standout. I don't have their names in front of me, but yeah.
I love that there were a couple sorcerers somewhere in the story.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
And the stories that were coming out of that, I love.
Right.
With both Remembered and Lover Come Back.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
It is.
But what happened? It just makes me angry when stuff like this happens. It just makes me mad.
I wish people could see you, and at some point we need to do just film a podcast. But you don't want to appear on screen. The way you bounce around, and as animated as you get when you don't like him, that's part of the entertainment and part of the joy of doing this. Anyhow,
I want to like everything I see, and I know that's impossible. But when these are the kinds of reasons why I don't like something, it makes me angry because there was a great story. If the whole story was stupid, then who cares?
Right.
You get an F on everything, next. But no, there's a lot of good material here. And I just hated the stinking movie. So it just makes me angry. I want them to redo it.
That was okay. So I was going to ask, what's your number? Obviously, it's a 2, at least a 2, and maybe 2 might be rating it high. But yeah, what is your number? And then we get to the recommend.
That's a hard one. Because 1 is hated it, and I can almost say I hated it, but I hate to say I hated it. 2 is I did not like it. I definitely did not like it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's 2 teetering on a 1.
Okay.
Sorry.
So this is why we have the recommend.
Bill Oberst Jr. gets 5 stars for being absolutely disgusting in this movie.
This is why we also give a recommend, though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say a 2 also.
Okay.
But I'm gonna recommend that people watch it.
Okay.
to see what not to do.
You know, and maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe we're wrong. You know,
But
maybe you should pop up a big bowl of popcorn and just sit down and have fun and just watch it.
If you're willing to spend an hour and a half or however long.
There were lulls. There was it wasn't nonstop entertainment, action, interesting stuff going on. There was some, but it might have just been me upset from out of the gate. I don't know. Maybe I was mad I got duped into watching a stinking anthology. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, yes, watch it. Absolutely, watch it. Just don't expect a lot.
You've been forewarned. We've gone on about this at length now at this point. So you know what you're in for. So sit down and watch it or don't. But I mean, if you watch it, look for the mistakes and tell us where we're wrong. That's something else too.
Yeah, if you've seen this and you love it, or you watch it and you don't know what the heck we're talking about, let us know.
There's any number of ways that you can get in contact with us. You can meet us on Facebook or send us a comment on Facebook group. You can actually even go to Podomatic, where the page is hosted or where the podcast is hosted. You can make comments there. Or you can just email me, S. Michael Jones.
Yeah.
Or look me up on Facebook, S. Michael Jones.
And
Mad Saxon is the email address. Anyhow,
MadSaxon@yahoo.com.
Yes.
2 X's.
With 2 X's.
Okay, and if you know who Bill Oberst Jr. is, and you only know him from these horrible movies that he does, stop by his Facebook page.
Yeah, see what a lovely guy he is.
He is such an awesome person. Yeah, we corresponded a couple times back when I was actually having a personal issue, and he wrote me a lovely response. I will never forget that. But he is a beautiful person. Yeah.
I just see him as that creepy guy and take this lollipop.
Yeah.
Oh, that was...
But, I mean, he's been in some movies that I won't even watch because I've heard how disgusting and torture and gross and, not my bag, things that I don't think I could sit through.
Right.
He's in those kind of movies, but people love him for that because he's so unique looking, so people hire him for his looks and his acting ability.
Yeah.
And he does gross so good.
Yes, he does.
Gross, creepy, horrible, but he is the opposite of that in real life. So, yeah, stop by Bill Oberst Jr.'s Facebook page.
All right.
Oberst. Oberst. So what'd you watch this week that was different? You've been watching a lot of stuff online.
I've been watching stuff online.
Pray tell, what have you been watching? Yes, I've been playing Skyrim, so what have you been watching?
Are you tired? You tired of talking about it, or you're tired of me asking?
Yes, and I'm not going to stop playing either, so we don't need to go through this every week.
Well, I'm certainly not asking you to, and no, indeed, I am I'm becoming educated. But,
okay.
And I've been doing Tybalt's Apprentice.
I was going to say, you've got so many new projects going on, and you're always so busy with editing and doing all this stuff. So if you'd had nothing else to do, and I was sitting here glued to the video game, then then I'd feel bad. But I don't feel bad.
Okay, well, there's no need to feel bad. And then much of what I'm watching and stuff pertains to Magic the Gathering. It pertains to Arena and stuff like that. So that's that other project. But aside from that, we did watch the second season of American Gods. We started it. Yep. We're a part way in there. What's your feelings about the second season of American Gods?
I'm enjoying it just as much as the first.
I'm not going to say that I'm not.
Yeah.
But like with everything,
I mean, it's
much of the mystery has been stripped away.
Yes, I was going to say the cat's out of the bag. We know who everyone is now and what's happening.
Right.
So has that made it change? It took away that fun element of what the H is going on because now we're all on the same page.
Only slightly, in that now I know what I'm looking for. Now I know what's going to happen. I have not that I have a feel for where the story is going to go specifically.
Right.
But it has entered a dreamlike quality too.
Yeah.
And it feels like the story has picked up speed.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess you would expect to have happen.
Well, of course.
I am curious as to whether this has been rewritten or reworked entirely, or whether it's going to follow the novel. I know nothing about the novel. I know nothing about Neil Gaiman's novel.
Well, maybe I should be reading that.
Maybe so. But At this point, I'm ready. I'm enjoying the series, and I want to see where it goes. So I don't want anything spoiled.
I am really enjoying it because I love the subject matter.
Absolutely.
I went to school and got my degree in psychology, but like halfway through there, I decided that anthropology was actually my thing, and I took many. I mean, I'm really interested in world religions and people and cultures and. Like, this movie's got it all in there.
Absolutely. And
man, I love that leprechaun.
Myself.
Though, here's a funny thing. You and I have not watched Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
But I guess that actor is on there.
Yeah.
So my sister, who is a big fan of Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
We gave her the first season of American Gods to watch. And she's like, oh, that leprechaun. I'm like, isn't he great? No, he's not. He's on...
Oh, no.
Orange is the New Black, and I guess he plays such a sleazeball that she can't get past that.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh, well, I'm glad I saw him here first then.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to separate, I guess.
It can be, Gwyneth Paltrow, and who'll go the...
Oh, no. That's something, that's a whole different...
Well, who else? I'm thinking Charlize Theron. I'm thinking about actors that you specifically...
see as a character. You hate them as a character, and then you see them in a movie. Yeah, you can't get past it.
Sorry, I'm getting off...
No, it was Charlize Theron for me for a long time.
That's what I thought.
First thing I saw her, and I did not like her character, so it was hard for me to get past that. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what's happening here with the leprechaun. Gotcha. I love him, though.
And getting back to what you were saying, I added to absolutely love world comparative religions. I love that idea. I'm probably one of the only people, I definitely know I'm the only person in my group of friends that actually went out and bought like all of Joseph Campbell's lectures on the Hero with a Thousand Faces and stuff. He did a lot of stuff on NPR and I think with Charlie Rose and so like I had at one point hours and hours of lectures by Joseph Campbell talking about all the different world religions and stuff like that. So I find that fascinating. Yeah. And so seeing this in the show as entertainment, I think it's great. Yeah. Moving on.
And it's rated R for sure.
Oh, yes. It is a hard R. Definitely a hard R.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Had to think for a minute.
I saw that.
I'm so desensitized. I was like, well, it's not that bad. Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my kids watching it. You'd have a lot of explaining to do.
A lot of explaining to do.
Yeah.
At any rate, let's move on and talk a little bit about kids on milk cartons.
Okay.
So, for the Crawling Chaos this week, in one of the scenes in Clown, again, you get the kids on the milk carton. You see the children missing.
I don't remember seeing them on a milk carton.
Well, it was a milk carton, there was on the post, and there was a couple of different places or whatever, stuff where you see that. And again, with it, you get the missing kids thing, being abducted by clowns or whatever the case may be.
So yeah,
people of a certain age have no idea or are completely unfamiliar with that reference. Or,
I was going to say, our age group, we grew up with, every morning you'd pull the milk carton out of the fridge to pour milk on your cereal. Yep, and you'd see a picture of a child, missing child.
And that started in the 80s because of, obviously because of missing children and stuff. The fact that, and it was at that time, deemed one of the best ways to get into every home to see and spread awareness.
Yeah.
It turns out that whole program was actually quite short-lived. I don't have the specifics. I have an article that I'm going to post on Today I Found Out on todayifoundout.com. That's where I found the article.
Okay.
And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long article, but we want to...
Well, and it's one of those things where it's like we grew up with that, but I couldn't tell you at what ages I started seeing them or the last time I remember seeing one.
Right.
So like you said, while it was a relatively short program, which we don't know what that means exactly, it went on for a number of years. A number of
years, exactly.
But afterward, I don't know at what point they quit because it's always something that's still like, you hear people say, oh, people reference it.
Right.
People referenced it for years and years after that.
So,
and we still do. It's like, oh, you don't want to end up on a milk carton. People still say things like that.
Right.
So I was thinking, when is the last time? Do they still do that?
How long ago have they done that?
Like, here I am in 2019 wondering if they still do that. What, if they have not done it for the last 20 years and I just didn't know it?
That's right.
Because it's just so...
That's pretty much...
It's just something you feel like is there
It made such an impact. We got so used to seeing it and stuff, which kind of sounds terrible because were you paying attention then? Or did it just become background noise? Did it get lost because of that? What it says here, and I'm just going to skip to the end of the article, is that the milk carton program ran its course. It had tremendous impact. They did a great job creating public awareness, but how successful it was with returning abducted kids, nobody knows for sure.
I was going to ask
because nobody kept hard, verifiable numbers for the program on the whole.
Well, and of course, for younger people listening, you have to remember there was no internet.
Exactly.
There was no...
That is the reason why now they have the Amber Alerts. They have a number of ways of getting more information out there.
None of us carried phones with us. No, none of us. The only information you'd get is out of the newspaper in the morning, or if you watched the news in the evening on television.
Right.
That was your only,
Wow, back in the Stone Age.
Isn't that funny? Simpler times.
Kind of.
Well, the internet brought better ways to find missing persons and stuff like that. It also brought a whole lot of worse stuff, didn't it?
It did.
It's a lot easier for criminals to communicate, too.
Right. But at any rate, so it was interesting that it was a short-lived by, I don't know if they even continued on after the 2000s.
Okay.
I don't even know. But the fact is that became such a thing and is still in most people's minds such a thing. And I just go back to the documentary that we watched a couple of times now with pretending, because think about how often you would hear about missing kids and so on.
Yeah.
And now it seems like it happens on a daily basis and we hear so much, how much of it just becomes noise?
Yeah.
Background noise. And
you hear about them.
I'm thinking of The Imposter or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that's a whole other thing entirely. And if you have not seen The Imposter, please watch it.
Watch it. That reminds me two things. Well, first of all, I shouldn't say it reminds me because I know.
And of course, it's there's probably 5 movies out there called Imposter or The Imposter. Right. We're talking the true story of the boy in Texas.
Yeah.
Missing boy in Texas who comes home years later and looks totally different.
Yeah.
It is fascinating.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
And I was saying that reminded me, and that's not entirely true, but I want to, of course, mention our patrons. Our patrons at Lonely
They're missing?
No, they're not missing.
Did you see them on a milk cart?
They're still here. No, they are safe. They are good. I certainly hope. At Lonely Bob, Big Alvy, and Goldafish. And the reason I was saying that it reminded me was I also have a movie that we need to watch that is another recommendation from Lonely Bob.
Oh, great.
And that is I Am Mother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sci-fi one.
Oh,
and
yes.
this one I have downloaded. I have it queued up and ready to go. We may not watch it right now.
I'm all about sci-fi.
But as soon as I can pry that Skyrim controller out of your hand.
Oh, stop
Just kidding.
Stop it.
All right. On that note.
You might find it somewhere you don't want it.
Oh, my. Don't threaten me with a good time. You can always get in contact with us by emailing me directly at madsaxon@yahoo.com. That's MADSAXXON @yahoo.com. Look us up on Facebook, VICISINTERIMO. The group is the preferred place to find us. You can also see all the fun stuff that we post throughout the week. You can also go to the fan page there or whatever, that too. But
I think the fan page will always be there because in order to have a group, do you have to have a fan page?
I believe you do. I believe you do.
So we'll have both, but the group is definitely more fun.
Where we
people
post
interact
more
a little
things.
more on there. That's where I try to post a couple fun things every day.
Yeah, but we've got a few other people that are posting things there too, stuff, including family members, which is nice.
Yes.
You can friend me, Michael Jones, on Facebook.
Yes.
And Just type Matt Saxon into your search engine and see what kind of... Actually, maybe you shouldn't do that. See what pops up.
We better do it ourselves first and make sure that's...
never mind. Forget that.
Make sure
Erase
it doesn't
that.
take
I'm going to have to... Yeah, never mind. Okay, so moving right along.
Yeah.
I think we killed it.
I think so.
Thanks for listening.